I'm not exaggerating when I say that good hand placement for learning to play piano is a real game changer. And the good thing is that the basic idea, the thing that you need to pay close attention to, is really simple. We've all had that feeling where there's that one thing that you really want to play and you think it should be within your skill level, but you get discouraged because it feels really hard. So you're trying to figure out how you can do it. Well, the first place that I always look to fix the problem, and is often the simplest solution, is my hand placement. And I want to get straight to the main point of the video and make this feel as simple as it can. If you wanted to pick something up off this shelf, but let's say you were standing over here, well, you're not just going to stand here and then awkwardly try and stretch and reach it to get it like that. Without even thinking about it, you would just step closer to the shelf, so you're putting yourself in a position where you can reach it easily. Or if you're trying to lift something heavy, you're going to shimmy your hands around so you can find just the right spot so it's easier to lift. Well, we just want that kind of more natural, intuitive mindset when we're actually playing piano too. And I'm going to show you a bunch of more specific examples in a minute. But essentially, where I see a lot of beginners going wrong is that they're just often holding their hand in a spot that just makes things really difficult and more awkward than it needs to be to reach the notes that they need to play. I've literally had so many moments where I've been struggling to play something and then I've worked out just the right positions to put my hand at every moment, and then all of a sudden your fingers just fall into place. Here's the crux of it then. We need to make use of our arm to place our hand and find that sweet spot where it's just most efficient and easiest to play and move through whatever notes we need to play. That makes sense, right? All you have to do is ask yourself a simple question. How can I reach these notes easier? So where along this plane is the best spot for your hand to be, or where exactly on the note do you place your fingertip to make it easier to move to that note or from that note to the next notes? And if you follow along with these examples to the end of the video, there's loads of ninja tips throughout and loads of examples for some basic situations you're going to find yourself in, which are going to make your life much easier. Because to do this, you need to start getting in that problem-solving mindset for yourself. Here's some really important things to bear in mind. And the first thing I want to say is, don't overthink this. Most of the time, it really is just a case of picturing your hand in a spot where your fingers can get to the notes easier. Okay, so a good hand position is one where we don't have to awkwardly twist our wrist this way or that way to get to it. More or less, your wrist and forearm wants to be straight behind your hand. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of angling sometimes, that's okay, but not to the point where it feels awkward. Similarly, you do not want to be playing with your wrist constantly bent down below the keys like this. It really restricts your movement and doesn't allow you to reach things properly. Having your hands down here will force you to play by like poking out your fingers and stretching to reach notes like this. And I've seen this a lot. They need to be held up over the top of the keys to come down on them. And to help keep them up there, you need to make sure you're not sitting too close, squishing your arms, and that you're at a comfortable height. And I recommend using an adjustable stool for that. We also want to make sure our hand is in this nice relaxed position with slightly curved fingers. It's much better to play like this technically, and also it brings your thumb closer to these fingers, which makes it easier to get into positions. Although when we do play wider positions, we will need to flatten out a little bit to reach stuff. One of the most common things I see beginners do wrong is that they're not holding their hands deep enough into the keys, or they pull their hands back throughout playing. So it could be that they're playing and they can't reach the black keys comfortably enough and they have to stretch and do something weird to get to them. Or perhaps they're just going along the white keys. This one's really common, is that they're playing and then they fling back as they play, straightening their fingers and then pulling fingers away from where they can reach. And then again, you have to do these really awkward maneuvers to play something. So you want to keep your hands in a position once you've got it. Let's look at some static positions first using chords, as it's easier to picture what's going on, and then I'll get more into things that move around. And there's some really important things to address there when we get there, so don't miss that. I'm going to go through some examples first, chords that are in a smaller position, and then we'll get to some more widespread shapes. With these white note chords, so for example C major, D minor, and all the rest of them, and their inversion positions as well, these white keys are all kind of on this plane. The main thing that people might do wrong is hold their hand in a spot where their thumb can't reach. So don't have your hand out here where you have to do something weird to get it. Just go a little bit deeper in so your thumb can get on nicely and comfortably like that. Or like any of these chord shapes, just notice how my thumb is steady because my fingers stay curved and my hand is forward enough. And the same principle for your left hand with the highest note. When chords have a mixture of black and white keys in, we need to go slightly deeper in so we can reach both comfortably. Just be careful not to play black keys right on the tip. We want to go a little way in on the keys. A D major has a black key in the middle, so I'm going to go slightly deeper in than perhaps I would if I played a D minor. First inversion of D though, I'll need my thumb on a black key, so I'm going to go much deeper in for that one. Here's where I want to make a really important point. When you're playing chords like this, picture them in one go, get your hand in the position over the top and come down in one go. Otherwise, it can lead to mistakes like putting fingers down here and then forcing yourself to twist your thumb around. We need to get it all in one go to get the right position. If I play up through all these major chords, as I do it, you can see how the plane of my hand is constantly shifting back and forth depending on what shape I need to play. And it's okay when you need to play a white key right nested in between the black keys. Like for an E flat, you have to do that. Otherwise, your finger would be over curled and you have to do something really weird like this. I can keep my hand shape much more comfortable like this. If we look at some wider spread chords, I'm going to use 7 chords as an example. Don't worry if you don't know what they mean yet, just look at the shapes at the second. This is a C major 7 chord, it's every other white note. Because my hand is more spread, I'm going to be slightly less curved so I can reach it. And here we're just on white keys, so I want to make sure that my thumb's not awkwardly just trying to squeeze on. Keep your hand forward enough so your thumb can fit on comfortably. But if this was a C7, I'm going to use B flat instead of B on the top. Now I can't really reach that very well from here. So what you're going to do, you're going to bring your hand deeper in so you can reach everything better. D major 7 has a black key on the top. So I'm going to play all the notes in a position that allows my shorter 5th finger to reach it easily. So not like this. If I play a bunch of major 7 chords, moving up in half steps, you can see how much my hand shape has to move back and forth. And I want to emphasize again how we need to eye these positions up in one spot to come down on them and move to them nicely from wherever else we came. Usually you want to try and take the most direct route from position to position, like a B line over the top of the note. So if you're going to play a low note up to a chord, for example. People often make the mistake of playing across and then coming up like that, and it's really not the most efficient thing to do. It's difficult to come down on the position like that, and you can often get your fingers caught on the black keys too. If moving around at the piano kind of feels stiff and awkward for you, you should watch my last video, which is linked below after this one, as that's an important piece of the puzzle that helps you get in these positions much easier. And if this video has been helpful for you so far, then please click the like button because that really does help the channel and gets the video shown to more people. Okay, now we're going to move on to some things that move around. I want to look at the G major scale first, and there's 2 important points I want to make. Firstly, the scale has this bump to a black key at the top. What you don't want to do is keep your hand on this white key plane, because then your 4th finger will not be able to reach that F sharp, and you'll realize at the last minute, and then you'll have to do something awkward to get to it. What you do want to do is, when you get to that top bit of the scale, you want to make sure that your hand is deeper in so that it's on the plane that mixes black and white keys, and that allows you to comfortably get on top of that F sharp. So not back here, it wants to be over here. And because the black keys are a bit higher this way as well, we really do want to make sure that we get up over the top of it. The note E just before the F sharp is kind of the crucial moment here. If we play that note too far back, we can't reach it. So if we position our finger on that note deeper in, that's going to allow us to reach the F sharp more comfortably. Playing the beginning of Minuet in G, we'd have to do that very thing. And the other moment is here, and this is going to be helpful for a lot of finger turns on the piano. When I get to this B, the note before the turn, I want to play it slightly deeper in about here, and that's going to give myself more room, more space to get my thumb under and make this nice comfortable turn. If I play my finger too far back, or if I straighten my finger too much, or both, then I'm pulling my thumb miles away and I can't reach the next note, and I'd have to do a massive twist or something really awkward to get to it, which we don't want. If we look at an A major scale, this has got a real mix of black and white keys. What people sometimes might do is they might hold their hand in a position where they're just catching those black keys on the tip. Now that's really awkward and you're likely to slip off and do something like that. So hold your hand deeper in, which allows you to keep that position. So getting the finger on the black key about here. And that way there's minimal movement back and forth like this, and it allows you just to reach everything and get your fingers nice and comfortably on each note. And remember, because the black keys are higher this way, we need to really make sure that we are getting over the top of them and not holding our hand down slightly too low, which will force us to like kind of jump over the top like that, which is awkward. And be very careful here not to over curl your fingers, because then you have to really come right over the top of them to get on top of the black keys. You want to maintain this kind of nice, slightly curved position. Harmonic minor scales tend to have slightly fiddlier shapes at the top. So if we look at the F harmonic minor scale, just really want to look at this top bit. So the top bit is C, D flat, E, F. Here's a tip which is really helpful for lots of situations. A thing I like to get my students to do is to picture what you would have to do if you were to hold all those notes down together. So in this case, you would have to bring your hand forward like that, and then move through that position. So make sure you don't play statically like that as you play. You've still got to move through it still, but you can imagine the hand position for holding it down. And that's gonna help you get your hand into the right spot on the right plane to play it comfortably. Remember not to pull your hand back, so when you come down, you haven't pulled this finger away from the D flat. You wanna keep it up there so it can come back down on it nicely. Another great example of that would be if we were to play 7 chord again, which is quite spread out, but break the notes up. It's quite common to have melodies and patterns and things kind of move through the notes of a broken chord. So if I look at G major 7, we said earlier that we have to hold our hand forward so our 5th finger can reach on that high note. If you were to break the notes up, you might make the mistake of not thinking about the top note until you got there. So you might move along the white keys like this, and then by which time it's too late to hit that F sharp, you'd have to do something awkward and go over the top of your finger. So you have to think about it earlier so you can get yourself on the right plane to move through all of those notes. That is really important, thinking ahead about what you've got to do. When playing melodies on the white key plane, just using the white keys, the thing to watch out for is that you keep that nice curved hand position and that you keep your all your fingers over the top of the notes. So like this. Deep enough in where all the fingers can reach. Be careful not to pull your hand position back or move close to the edge of the keys, because all you're going to do is pull your fingers away from being able to reach the notes properly. It's the same idea on a mixture of black and white keys, it's just deeper in so you can reach both and make sure you're not right on the edge of the black keys. As opposed to when you're playing only on the black keys, it's going to be deeper in again so your thumb can reach, because obviously it's further back than your other fingers. So the other fingers are going to be quite high up on the black keys here. Keep that plane, don't pull back. You've always got a little bit of wiggle room this way or that way, so remember to experiment, see what works best, and sometimes even some micro adjustments make all the difference. Often the placement of just one finger between positions is really important to help you reach the next bit. And just always be aware of this and follow the shape of whatever you're playing. Find that sweet spot for every moment. But remember something important. We need to make sure that we still keep some motion in our playing. We don't want to jerk and jump from here to here, because when we're actually playing stuff, we're going to be finding ourselves in all kinds of hand positions. We need to keep moving and keep that motion smooth. The beginning of this melody, I picture these notes in a block to get my rough position, but I don't play statically like that. I'm still moving through and I'm lifting up over the top, especially to come down on this E flat. We're always going to be changing planes. Sometimes we lift up and move. Sometimes we can almost walk our fingers from one spot to another. It's always going to be different depending on what you're playing. But as a quick example, if I play this, I'm pulling back this way at the start so it's easier to play this bit, but then my thumb can't reach this E flat. So I'm going to walk forward as I come back down like that. Then I'm on this plane to reach these notes. One final sneaky trick, sometimes you can play a note and hold it whilst you slide onto a different position. You should watch this video next to stop everything feeling stiff and awkward as you move around the piano, because hand position is obviously important, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching.